Welcome to the Balanced Collective, where we love to go deep, talk big, and get real. I'm your host, Danielle Boyd, and every episode is going to bring a new concept or guest to talk all about things wellness, balance, and alignment. Our purpose here is to bridge the concepts of science and spirit to bring wellness and ease into the lives of our listeners while not taking life too seriously. We like to get down and deep into our shadow while keeping things raw, fun, and real. Thank you so much for listening. Let's get to it. Hi team, welcome to the show this week. Pretty stoked on this conversation I had with my dear friend Marliese McGee of Holistic Happy Training. She has a very, very unique approach to her business, and I think that you'll find a lot of value in this conversation that I had with her. She is a personal trainer, however, she incorporates so much more than just the physical in her work that she's doing, and I think we could all learn a few lessons from what she's learned and how she applies that to her business now. And so this conversation was really powerful for me, and I learned a ton, and I think that you'll do the same and find it very expansive. Marlise's mission in her work is to empower people through health and fitness so that they can gain strength, build confidence, and exceed their own expectations. Now, if that's not a great mission, I don't know what is. So without further ado, I present to you an awesome conversation with my dear friend Marliese McGee of Holistic Happy Training. Hi, Marliese. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Danielle, girl.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's been a little while since we've chatted. And so we just spent the last couple minutes catching up of how our summers have been. And there's been lots that's been transpiring. And I'm really excited to share some of the new stuff that's come up for you in the last few weeks. So thanks for chatting with me.
You're welcome, Danielle. I'm so excited to share with you.
Awesome. So before we kind of dive into the work that you're doing, I'd love for you to tell everyone a little bit about who Marliese is, the human Marliese, who she is outside of the work that she's doing right now.
Okay, so kind of outside of the work that I'm doing is just like a really fun-loving, energetic person. If you ever talk to anybody who's close to me, I'm like always smiling and like full of high fives and fist bumps and all of that sort of thing. It's just like something that's really important to me is to just like, exude that energy to help like affect other people around me and just affect the way that they're feeling so that they can like feel empowered as well. I know it's so hard for me to separate that from my personal training.
Exactly, which is obviously the work that you do. And I can 100% attest to the fact that you've got an amazing energy about you. It is like, it's vibrant and I absolutely love it. So thank you for doing what you do and spreading that magic that you have.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about then the personal training and the work that you do?
Yeah, of course. So the personal training that I do, how it's a little bit different. I always like to explain it to people in a way that how it's different from just kind of run-of-the-mill one-on-one personal training or small group training is where I take more of a holistic approach looking at a person. So not just their physical health, but also their kind of emotional well-being and their nutrition as well, because I feel like those kind of three facets, although people try and separate them out, are really intensely interconnected with each other. So really getting to know a person before we actually work together to make sure that they have a really solid understanding about how those things work together and how if you neglect one, it can really affect another. So a lot of people have a goal like, oh, I want to lose 10 pounds. And they might say, okay, well, I'm only going to work out and I'm not going to pay attention to my emotional well-being or my diet. So if you have a lot of stress, that can affect that, of course. If your eating habits aren't in line with your working out, that can affect that. So a lot of people don't really think about how those things come together. So I want to have that sort of conversation around that to really bring that awareness. It's not to really highlight, oh, you don't know this, but here's this really cool thing about how your body really interacts with not only your emotional health, but also the world around you and how you can actually utilize that to your benefit once you understand.
You are speaking my language because I love talking about the interconnectivity of the systems, like the emotional health and how it affects the body and so on and so forth. I mean, we could go on for hours about that, but something that I really liked that you did in that introduction is you kind of mentioned what makes you different, which I think is really important in the world of, personal training. There's tons of personal trainers out there, and there's some amazing ones, there's some brilliant ones out there. But yeah, in a world where there are a lot of people in the market, having a unique approach is really important. And then from a marketing standpoint, explaining that bit to it is really awesome. So I think what you did right there was your elevator pitch is like amazing. And I think that is really cool. And your approach to what you're doing is very unique. What would you say of those three systems is, I mean, obviously personal training is your modality through there, but how do you kind of incorporate the other two into your approach? Because it sounds like, using personal training as a modality, you're almost kind of a wellness coach for your clients holistically.
Yeah, and so that's kind of how I market myself as well. A lot of the time, I market myself as a personal trainer, but then as soon as I have that one-on-one conversation, because a lot of people, when they hear wellness coach, they don't immediately connect that with getting physical results. They're like, oh, that's more like an emotional thing. So I market myself really like as a wellness coach when I'm in that one-on-one conversation. And how I kind of connect those things together is I start with their goal, whatever it is. And then I ask a very important question that I think it really allows them to think about it. I say, what does that look like for you? So for instance, someone would say, oh, let's come back to I want to lose 10 pounds. And I say, what would that look like for you? And they say, oh, well, I'd be thinner. And I said, but really, what would that look like for your life? What would that look like for how you interact with people? What would that look like for how you eat on a day-to-day basis, how you treat yourself, like in terms of your emotional and like internal self-dialogue and self-talk? And then they start to connect those pieces. So kind of, that's how I get them to start thinking about it. And then as we progress through a foundational program, I say, okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to take you through your movement. I'm going to do an assessment with you. We're going to see where things are at in terms of like how you're moving. And then if there's anything we need to work on in terms of your movement, we'll start with that first. And then I start to add pieces on. So the first week will be, okay, here's some movement things that you need to do on your own in terms of homework, in addition to our sessions. Then I start to add on, okay, let's do a food journal. No judgment. Don't change anything that you're eating. Don't feel the pressure to do that. But I just want to know what it is, like what you're putting into your body. Then kind of the next week we talk about, okay, where are some changes that you think that some areas that you think some changes need to be made? Empower them to like take ownership of kind of their own journey. And then I'm there as more of a support to actually prompt them with the questions, more of a wellness coach capacity.
I love that. And I love that you don't like inundate them with all the things at once. It's sort of, okay, let's start with the movement capacity, because that's obviously how they got their foot in the door with working with you. And then you add the layers, when it's appropriate or when they're ready, which is really, really cool. And that takes a lot of intuition and understanding of your client to really know that, which clearly you take the time to do. I know that like connection is super important to you, and we've had, great conversations about connection and understanding deeply your client. How would you say that you find connection? Like, what are kind of your approaches to really deeply connecting and understanding your client?
So it starts from the beginning. When they come and sit down with me, I don't do a lot of talking, to be honest, and I find that's really the first step. I feel like a lot of trainers, especially when they're new, and I was the same way, I was rushing forth with the answer. I was like, oh, you have this problem? I have a solution. Problem, solution, problem, solution. Rather than even letting them finish their sentence. I just was like, and that kind of comes with being a new trainer and feeling a little bit insecure, of course, as we all do in a new profession. But then as you get more experience, you learn to kind of sit back and let people really express to you what's in themselves and what they need. Because sometimes people don't really think they know. And as soon as you, again, just in that wellness coach capacity, just ask a few probing questions or ask a few leading questions to help them kind of express themselves. Again, I think that's a really important first step, is to just let them express. And then when you find them getting stuck, just having those questions ready to say, okay, well, you said that losing 10 pounds was important to you. What does that look like for you? And allowing them to kind of just really start to visualize what their life's going to be like as they continue to work with you, and to know that you actually care. about how that's going to progress. You're not just thinking about them right now or, a week from now, but you're actually thinking about them 6 months from now, a year from now, once they not only have gotten the results they want, but like moving forward.
Right.
The second one,
seeing kind of the big picture of the lifestyle, really.
Yeah, exactly. And that just comes back to that holistic approach. Another aspect I would say that's really important is to just have some additional things that you do as a trainer and outside of their one-on-one sessions. So a lot of trainers will see their clients 1 hour a week or 2 hours a week and wait for their clients to communicate with them. Say, here's my email. If you have any questions, contact me, or here's my number, just text me or what have you. And I do that as well, but I find that a lot of clients, they don't want to bother you. I don't know. I have some really nice clients, I guess. They're just like, it was just like a little thing. Don't worry about it. I was going to ask you about it during our next session, and then they forget, right? So what I do is 2 things. I try and do twice a year, like a client appreciation event where I bring everybody together so they can kind of get to know each other and kind of share their stories with each other and kind of have some kind of a community, because some of my clients don't have a lot of community around their wellness journey. So like I'm kind of their one support system in that. And so I kind of bring everybody together. We'll do a workout together, or the last one I did was a meet and greet / kind of a yoga session in the evening, just to kind of help de-stress and do some meditation. And the next one I do is, I call them quarterly coffee check-ins. So I message my clients and I'm like, hey, I want to take you out for coffee. I'm redoing your program for this quarter. Let's talk about it together. Like, I'm not showing you this thing that you need to do. This is you like coming in and you're taking ownership, because at the end of the day, I don't have to, I love my clients and I would love to keep them forever, but I want them to feel empowered to actually go out on their own after a certain point and really just take everything that they've learned and implement it in their lives without them feeling like they need to ask me every single time, because then I, of course, want to help them, but I also want them to feel like, hey, I got this. I'm gonna do it.
So you're actively involving them in the process, which is really, really cool. And I love the idea of creating community. And it's funny. It's something that I think, like, I know myself, I've totally taken for granted, like growing up playing sports and, having a community around, soccer teams, or, going to university and making good friends who are also into snowboarding, or, joining a CrossFit gym and having that community there. I think I've taken for granted the fact that fitness has just kind of been a part of my life. Fitness and activity have been a part of my life, since I can remember. But there are many people who haven't been, playing sports growing up, or maybe moved to a new town and don't have that community. And so they want to be introduced to the concept of fitness. And so they seek out a personal trainer to do the one-on-one work, but they don't have a community around them of people to support and to kind of, commiserate with through the process. And so I think what you're doing is so, so, so powerful, because you're allowing these people who, maybe don't have that community to meet and greet and to just learn from each other. And I think that is really, really, really cool.
Oh, thank you, girl. Yeah. And it's like a sense of community. I find, like, for myself, especially when I first started, going on my fitness journey and wanting to be a personal trainer, the people who I surrounded myself with at the time, and who I actually surround myself with now, they're not very active people. They fulfill me in so many other ways, but I was very much kind of on my own. When I went to school to be a personal trainer, I had that community, and that was really great. And then, as I went into the corporate gym world with my business, I had kind of my coworkers there, and it just made such a huge difference.
Yeah.
Just to like have other people around you, because their energy just motivates you to want to keep going. And like, you see other people progress, and you, not only that, but you see where they struggle, and you realize it's okay to struggle on your fitness journey. It's totally fine and normal, and even trainers struggle. So
exactly, we're human. We're all human, aren't we? So, I mean, obviously a lot of your clients, like, creating that community is really important. If you were to have a new client come on, someone who's maybe brand new to the world of fitness, What are some things that you would, maybe someone's never seen a personal trainer at all before, but if someone listening right now is, looking to maybe introduce a bit of fitness into their life, how would you suggest, kind of beginning, or what first steps would you suggest to someone brand new into kind of introducing a new fitness lifestyle? How would you kind of guide them?
So I have a really firm belief that social media is an amazing tool, but it is not a great place to go if you are very unsure about what you want to do in your fitness journey, and you're not, you don't really know which direction you want to take. You're like, oh, do I want weight loss, or do I want to gain muscle? Or there's so much, and it's just a lot of, it's not that it's not quality, it's that it's a lot.
It's overwhelming. Yeah.
And trying to do all those things at the same time. That's what I tried to do when I first started. I was like, oh, I'll do keto, and then I'll do strength building, and then I'll go and do like HIIT, and then I'll do, running clubs, and just kind of all of these other things. So what I would suggest is to try and find a personal trainer. I do these, a lot of other trainers do them, to sit down with them for a free consultation. Like I do an hour one, some people do 30 minutes. I find it's not long enough, where you can actually sit down, tell them your goal, and actually get some really solid feedback about what that would look like for them. Even if you don't continue with that person, as long as you can find someone who you actually trust, or find someone who, a friend of yours or a coworker of yours has worked with, because they can actually provide you some really solid feedback and get you started on that path. It will also save you a lot of time.
Right.
Which, a big contributor to the loss of motivation, right? Is like, oh, I tried all these things, they didn't work. It took so much time. It took so much money or effort. I don't want to keep going. And I felt that way when I started, because I tried all these things and they didn't work. And then I stopped and started and stopped and started. And it was only until after I went to school and I actually had a lot of feedback from really trusted professionals around me that I started to get actual results that I wanted, because I was educating myself in support of the goal that I wanted, rather than looking at a lot of the things that were coming in terms of noise and a lot of other things, and being distracted by that and not really understanding how to implement it in my life. And then also feeling kind of guilty that I couldn't implement it because it was too hard.
Right. Right. I think what you mentioned there, like shopping around different professionals is really, really important. It's the same thing in, physiotherapy and counseling or whatever. You have to find someone who's a good fit for you. And if you go see someone and all they do is like, yeah, I can do that. I can do that. We can do this. And it's like very salesy, then maybe that's not the right person for you. Yeah. Communicating, these are my goals. Are you able to help me, achieve them? And I think the biggest sign of a great trainer is someone who can say, you know what, I don't think I'm a good fit for you, but I have an awesome referral. I think that's the biggest gift that you can give someone is that ability to say that. And I know that you do that 100%, which is really, really cool. And
I just feel the love right now,
Well, I know how you work with your clients, and I think it's really, really cool. So, and on top of that and expanding on that, you are like on social media, you've mentioned social media. You use social media a lot to communicate with your community and to grow your audience. And I think what you're doing is really, really cool. You're sharing a lot of the struggles that you're having. You're being very vulnerable and authentic. And I know that you have had a bit of a process of, getting over some fear of being seen, and you've really stepped into the role of being a leader, but also, being authentically human and authentically yourself. How have you seen your personal use of social media change over the last, year, couple months, and how have you changed your approach to it?
It's actually interesting. When I first started my business account for Instagram, because I primarily like to use Instagram, especially for fitness. People want to see it. They want to know that you're getting results. They want to see the gym. It really gets them engaged with that environment and that sort of mentality and energy. So when I first started, I was hitting it hard. I was I need to post every day, and it needs to be something different, and it needs to be this, and it needs to be that. So I was posting only things about my business, but not about myself. Mm-hmm. And I find a lot of personal trainers do that. Or the things that I would post about myself were like, look how much I lifted today. But it wasn't about anything to do with the emotional or the nutritional aspect, right? That holistic aspect. So when I first started posting, it was like, okay, here's my business, this is what I do. And then it slowly started to progress like a little bit into nutrition and that sort of thing. And I think it was, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago where I decided to say, okay, you know what? I'm going to reboot this whole thing. Like I went and did a photo shoot with my boyfriend. Thank God for him. Like he's been such a great support, but he like, we just went to the gym and he got out like the iPhone camera and we just took lots of cool shots and had more fun with it. And I think that as my social media evolved, yeah, like it was that I wanted to have more fun and for people to see that working out and like the business aspect of going into like being a trainer and all of that for anybody who follows me just for like any business advice, because I do a little bit of that on the side as well, could see that it's fun. I don't just, eat salads without any dressing and lift really heavy weights and like torture my body. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I feel like that's the message I was sending before I started to evolve.
Right.
And so then I actually did an entire post on Instagram where I said, guys, listen, this isn't about my business anymore. I want this to be about you guys. And I want it to be about me sharing my journey with you and you communicating back to me what you need from me. I want this to be a two-way like street of communication where you open up to me about those things and feel safe that you like to do so that I can actually help you guys. Because that's the whole point of why I do what I do. It wasn't about, of course I'll give nutrition advice and all of these other things, but it was more just about being that well-rounded, holistic approach. And so as it progressed, and even now, like a lot of the things I post in my stories are like, hey guys, good morning. I wanted to check in with you today and see how you're doing. Shoot me a DM with how you're feeling with an emoji. Like I find I get so many messages from people. They're like thumbs up or like thumbs down or like so-so or, the weather's amazing today. Like people really want to just express themselves.
Wow.
So if you, give them a platform to do that, because I find a lot of people are like, oh, I'll only let you tell me how you feel if you buy my thing, or if you give me your email address for an ebook, or like, and I'm like, but what if I just asked how your day was and I didn't have an ulterior motive? I didn't want to sell you anything. What if I just asked you how you're doing?
Wow. And, once you kind of made that shift, did you actually notice a difference in your business?
Yeah, I noticed a huge difference. Like I was just open to talking to people, and I do small group personal training on the side, like of the one-on-one as well. And I found so many people would just drop into my classes. They were like, oh, we had a great conversation at the gym yesterday. You asked me about this and you gave me a tip on this. And I just wanted to see you again. And I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. That's great. I'm glad you wanted to see me again.
Wow. I think it just speaks to the fact that, connection, again, that word popping up is so much more important than, click funnels and bait and all that, like all the marketing jargon from the interwebs. But, like I think people want to feel heard, people want to feel validated, and they want someone who's going to do that without trying to, pitch something at them. And ultimately, if those people feel that way, they're going to come back because they want to continue feeling heard and validated and not sold to. So that's a really, really cool approach to it. Did you notice like a difference in how many people were following you or like your actual like social media accounts, or was it more so the people that you were already interacting with?
For my social media, I started to get more people, but it wasn't, they weren't really interacting with me. They just started like following me. And then it was more that they saw me on social media and then came to the gym and were like, oh, I saw you on social media do this really cool thing. Like, I wanted to take one of your classes. So this is actually, I think, a really important message for a lot of people who are especially service-based businesses trying to build on social media. The Instagram stories I love because you can see who's watching it. People need a reason to trust you before they interact with you. So just because they don't interact with your story or your post or don't like it, doesn't mean they didn't see it, doesn't mean they didn't connect with it. They just need more.
Wow.
Yeah, like And so that's why I try and stay as consistent as I can. I'm not perfect, of course. I don't post every day or anything like that, but I've taken that burden off of myself of saying, oh, I only got 47 likes on this post today. It must mean that I had 100 last week, so people don't like me anymore. It could be for any number of reasons, but it's like, just keep posting, because I've had so many people come up to me and be like, although, they're not my one-on-one clients, they might only come to 2 or 3 classes, but they're like, you really made a huge difference in how I do this one thing in my life. And now I don't have back pain, or now I'm eating 1 salad a day and I feel amazing, or just so many different things. And I'm like, wow, I didn't even, like, I couldn't even comprehend how many people I would help just by posting and shifting from trying to sell to just being helpful.
Wow.
And then just like,
I think it just speaks to the fact that, I mean, you can have 100 active followers, your story's seen by 100 people, and you get 1 or 2 people that actually drop into your class, versus being seen by 10,000 people who, just skip over it because they're like, oh, sales. I mean, you can see that when you log on to a story, you can tell within seconds, like, who's trying to sell you something versus who's trying to actually have a conversation with you and just sharing. Like, I catch myself watching the stories of people who are, like, oh, this was my day today, or like, like actually actively, authentically speaking, versus like, come to this event, buy this product. Like, you can tell, you just skip over it. And so what you've done is really shift your energy around it. And maybe you're not going to get as many followers or, as much attention, but you're going to actually get those like 2, 3, that like 3% or whatever percentage of people that are actually going to drop into your class. So I think that is huge.
Yeah, and I think like it's one of those things where we come back to connection again. It's, you can only connect with someone so much through, through an online platform. And then for them to actually take the time out of their day when they've talked to you online to say, I'm going to go see this person in real life. Like, it sounds so cheesy, like in real life, but for them to take the time, be mindful, remember that they want to do it, go see you, actually do the class, invest in that. Like, people are like, I feel like maybe a lot of people are like, oh, it's only $10. It's not a big deal. I'm like, no, that is a huge deal. Like, someone actually like left their routine to come do something with you. Like, honor that 100%. Like, it doesn't, the money aspect, of course, it's there and it's important, but like, just the fact that they did that because they wanted to connect with you, like, that's so huge. And I just try and honor everybody who comes to my classes, who is like continuing to renew one-on-one packages with me, be like, I feel so grateful for you.
Wow.
It makes such a difference.
It does. And, like, we have to count our small wins like that. Like, it's, maybe you didn't like have a record smashing month financially, but you're encouraging people to change their routine and make something different. And those little wins will add up. And, businesses don't explode overnight. Like, it's a process of trial and error and patience. Oh my God, it takes so much patience.
So, girl, preach it.
Yeah, right. So I want to pivot a little bit into the actual like fitness training that you do. What is your personal training style? How do you help your clients achieve their goals in terms of actual like movement?
In terms of movement, yeah. So I touched on it a little bit earlier, where I try to take everyone through, and I say try, I will get to that in a second, to take everyone through a foundational movement patterns program. So it's just a fancy way of saying learning how to move your body in like kind of the things we do in everyday life, when we squat down to pick things up, when we pick things up to put them on the shelf, when we move side to side, those sorts of things. It's amazing how much kind of sitting we do and a lot of this kind of forward posture that we spend time in. And then as we want to do things that are more active, running, cycling, Vancouver is great for hiking, a lot of these things, our bodies kind of start having compensations from the fact that we don't actually utilize those movement patterns a lot. So I find, first of all, get you moving in a way that's easy for you, where you're moving pain-free. And for some people, just going through that's a result in itself. They're like, wow, I don't have any more pain. Like, it's been 10 years and I've never had no back pain, and now I'm moving without back pain. Like, and I'm like, Yes. And I say try because some people really don't want to start there. They just want to get right into it. And as a trainer, what I will do is I will give them more of what they want than what they need, because that's what's going to keep them motivated to keep going, because I'll still give them those other things, but I'll kind of sneak them in. I'll be like, okay, we're doing like recovery right now, so let's do some planks to strengthen your core, or let's do some like active rehab on the shoulder, or what have you. So that's a really, really important part of what I do, is to build a solid foundation, because without it, that's what happened to me. I did a HIIT program. I started way too advanced, and then I hurt myself. Right. So with my clients, I'm like, not going to happen. Like, I'm going to make sure you're solid, like a brick wall, and ready to take on all the weight of the the exercise that you're going to be doing. So after the foundational program, that's when we start getting into, like, I call it like the good stuff, what they want to see. They see it on Instagram. We do the box jumps, we do the burpees, we do the pull-ups, we do the deadlifts, and I'm a really strong believer, when you're doing a program for someone, like, I'll do a 3-month program, 6-month program, what have you. A month in, I'll be like, how's it going? Do you want anything to change? And that's something that I find a lot of trainers really shy away from, because they'll think, oh, this person won't respect my opinion if I keep changing, or if I keep changing direction, or if I ask their opinion, like I don't know what I'm talking about. But I find in reality, again, it's that connection, is like, how is this working for you? How's your body feeling today? Let's make an adjustment. Like, I find that in itself gets people progress so much more quickly than if you're like, here's the program, here's 3 months, we're doing it this way, I'm not budging, like, that's it.
Right. And it keeps them actively involved in that too. Again, feeling heard, feeling validated, all that stuff. And I think the other thing too is it shows, I think it takes a very confident and comfortable person to be able to say, hey, let's check in. Like, is this program working? Like, I've done my best here, but feedback to adapt is huge. And being open to that feedback just shows that, the person who's offering to, create those differences is someone who's comfortable and confident and open to conversation and feedback.
Yeah. And as much as a lot of people will say, I can guarantee you results in this amount of time. I truly do not believe that. And I never tell my clients, okay, you want to lose 10 pounds? In 3 months, you'll lose 10 pounds. I never say that. I never make promises like that, because I don't know their body and how their body is going to react to anything that I do with them. So what I'll say to them is, if you stay consistent, if you stay motivated, if you stay checked in with me, we will get you the results that you want. We will get them. Absolutely. And the reason I don't do the other way, and I know a lot of people do, is because if things don't work out up to like the halfway point, for instance, then some extreme measures are usually taken. Calorie restricted diets, like severely calorie restricted diets, working out 5, 6, 7 days a week, sometimes not even getting rest days. And you will get the results that you want in the time frame they promised. But what does it mean for you in terms of longevity, in terms of emotional well-being, right? Like, all of these things are all connected. I am not willing to sacrifice an area of your wellness to enhance another area.
I love that.
Like, take some water out of one cup and put it into another. No way. I want to fill all your cups at the same time. And so when I actually approach people and I say to them, we will get you the results that you want. And I guarantee them that they will, if they're not seeing them as quickly in the beginning, and I'm always checking in with them, it's not a problem, because they're like, oh, I'm feeling like I'm not getting enough weight loss this week. And then we talk about it. How's your diet been? How's your stress? Have you been working out a lot? All of these things contribute to like that number on the scale. So it's not that I don't want to say, oh, you won't get results. It's, I'm not going to guarantee you something that's really unrealistic and is going to cause harm to your body to try and get there. I'm not going to do it.
And I mean, the big thing there is like, maybe you spend, 3 sessions, 4 sessions, maybe 5 sessions a week with them. So maybe that's, let's call it 5 hours. How many hours are in a week? Like, there's what is it, like 90
Gosh,
hours in a week or something. So I mean, really, you're spending
yeah,
a very small percentage of time with them, even
yeah,
though those 5 hours are very high quality and very important, but you don't know what they're doing in the rest of those 100 and whatever hours during the week. And that's just it. They could be, the eating might be an issue, or they're, like there's relationship issues or financial stress or whatever. But I mean, during
yeah,
those 5 hours, you do exactly what you can, and then get like, there's so much happening outside of that. And so what you're doing is empowering them to do the work themselves. It's not you fixing someone or creating results for them. It's you saying, here are all the tools I can give you to allow you to make these results happen,
yeah,
but you have to do the work.
yeah.
I will
And
be here and hold you accountable, but you got to do the
exactly.
work.
And not all clients connect with that. And I totally understand. Like I've had some clients who come in and they're like, you know what, that's not really for me. And I'm like, that's why we have this consultation. And I usually when I ask them why, they're like, you can't guarantee this. And I'm like, I don't know you. Like, this is my first time really meeting you. I don't know how consistent you're going to be. I don't know how committed you're going to be. You can tell me that now, but as we go through the process and I learn more about you and we really get you towards where you want to be, if you suddenly change your goal in the middle of a program and are like, no, I want to do this, then I can start guaranteeing you results. Because not only do I know your body and how it reacts, but I know your commitment level.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Like, and I'm not saying that a lack of commitment is any sort of judgment. Like, we all go through those beginning parts of anything that we start and we're like, wow, consistency is so freaking hard and it's challenging. And I'm going to be there to support you. And it's okay to have those struggles, and it's normal and it's expected. Like, I'm not going to expect you to be perfect. So I'm not going to guarantee you a result that's completely unrealistic unless you achieve perfection, because then it's just too much pressure,
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just about, like, again, like you said, empowering people to take that ownership, because at the end of the day, no one should have to have a personal trainer for the rest of their lives. I'm here to support you and build that foundation. And I would love to have my clients for the rest of my life. I love my clients, but I also want to see them just like, it's like a child, you see them grow up and you see them go on to do what they want to do with their lives. And you're like, wow, I feel so happy for that person, because now they have all the tools and they can just do it themselves and just like own it.
I love
Yeah.
that. I loved what you said too about, having that conversation with them, and then also having the ability to say, you know what, I don't think I'm the one for you. Because there's many people who, just see dollar signs or see opportunity when they sit with the client and they're like, okay, I can adapt my own, beliefs if I have to make your goals happen. Where you have a concrete set of beliefs and values and a system that you believe in, and you're not going to sacrifice that to just retain a client. And then working with that client might not feel good either, because you're like, I'm adapting my core values and my beliefs and my knowledge to create this goal for someone. And then it's just going to become, a really anxiety provoking process to work with this person. And so I think, having the ability to say, I'm not the person for you. It's a very tough thing to do, to say no to a client, because, like, there goes a potentially, lucrative contract with someone. But what you're doing in that time is creating space to allow other clients that are maybe a better fit for you come into your life. And so by saying no, or, like not signing that contract with someone, it's terrifying, because you're like, oh, there goes that like month's worth of income, or there goes this month's rent or whatever. But at the same time, you're allowing for other more better fitting opportunities to walk in.
Yeah, exactly. And I've never said no to a client without trying to give them to another person who I think is a really good fit for them. They may or may not sign up with that person, but I'm like, it takes a lot of courage for some people to come in and do the assessment and really, put themselves out there. So I don't want them to feel like they're being left high and dry. So I always think to myself, okay, I know a lot of different personal trainers. Actually, this person I think would be a great fit for you. And then refer them to that person. Because at the end of the day, like, it comes back to community, not only community of my clients, but also like other personal trainers, and like, just like really trying to respect like another person's craft who is different from my own, no better or worse, just like, this is a better fit for you. So let's like refer you over to this person, because they can help you so much more.
Yeah.
And then I get other trainers doing the same thing. They refer people to me as well.
Exactly. It's what you're doing is you're fostering relationships with other practitioners. Exactly. So if you say, I'm not a good fit, but this person is, then they're going to pick up on that and say, you know what, maybe this person isn't a good fit for me, but I know Marliese is, or whoever else is. And so you're kind of fostering that two-way relationship. And clients love that too. Like if you say to a client, I'm not a good fit for you, but I'm going to refer you to someone else. It gets funny, even in the physio world, I've had that happen before where like a client comes in and they want, one XYZ modality. And I'll say, I actually don't do that. Or, like, I think I can't seem to get this moving or whatever it is. And I'll say, but go see this person or go see that person. I've, sent that person to go see someone else. And then that person has referred me other clients because clients appreciate you saying, like, I'm not going to be the one to help you find this goal, but someone else will be. And they'll say, you know what? Marliese was so great in telling me that. Go see her. And then she can be the filtration system that gets you set up where you need to go. And maybe she's the one for you. So clients appreciate that you're kind of the relay point.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Like, and it's just, again, about building that authentic connection and that trust with people. Because as much as like, I love like making sales and being financially like lucrative and all of that, like being a personal trainer is a great way to do that. It's not at the expense of someone's like health and wellness, like, and, making sure that they are put with the best trainer for them, because, I've had an experience in my past where this was way before I started doing personal training. I signed up at a corporate gym and they provided me a trainer. I went through the assessment. He knew about my injuries and he got me to do all of these like this plyometric work, like jump squats and burpees and all this stuff. And I had an injury to my knee. And I kind of kept asking him, I'm like, is this okay? Like, and he was kind of like, yeah, this is fine. Like, I know exactly what I'm doing, kind of doing that whole, kind of, that confidence thing. Like, I don't want to seem like I'm unsure. And so because that kind of process happened, that experience happened with me, I'm like, if we're not a good fit, that's okay though.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't say anything about my training style or anything like that. It just says that this person needs something and I'm going to make sure that they get it. And like you said, you're right. Like I've had people come, refer other people to me and we've had great conversations and been a great fit. And, I think that's just so important because people just want to be heard. Like you said, they want to be heard and connected with and not feel like there's like that sales pitch at the end that you're just waiting to give them, right? Even though there might be, you have the sales pitch at the end, that doesn't mean that you can't listen to them and understand and make sure that first you're the right fit before you pitch them what you're actually going to provide them, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that is huge. Sorry, go ahead. You're
It's so huge. Like, I think, like it's when people come in and they realize that you are actually there for their benefit first and your benefit second, everything shifts.
Yeah. And exactly. I think, something that I've kind of learned and we've been, kind of dancing around it, but, financial security or, like financial gains are a byproduct of living in alignment and making, choices that align with what is your truth. And so if you can make those choices, then, there might be some tests that are thrown at you, but ultimately things will be okay if you are, living in truth and saying yes to what lights your fire and no to what doesn't feel right. And, the universe will provide if we want to go, and get all woo-woo and sentimental with it. But, if you're making choices in truth, the universe is going to provide. You'll be fine. You'll be okay. I mean, obviously don't be, totally frivolous with it, but making those choices and taking the clients that align with you, it will become fruitful if you continue and are patient with it.
Yeah. And it has been like, and it's starting a new business is always challenging. So like having that patience, something I've learned is just like having the patience to not only, with yourself to be consistent, but also to step back and be like, all right, let me just take a reassessment here. Am I where I want to be? Am I like, because at the end of the day, like as a trainer, if I'm not, filling my cup and, staying in alignment with myself, how am I ever going to support my clients, right? So I'm like, no, like, let's get this going on here. And then all that positive energy, all of that, self investment just goes right back into the business, back into my clients. And they notice for sure. Like if you know, things start to shift and it's just not there, my number one priority in my business is making sure my clients are happy and that they're getting what they need from me. So if I'm not getting what I need from me, there's no way they're going to get what they need from me, right?
It's so true. And like, we hear that all the time. It's so, I mean, it's almost cliche now that like, you know, put your own oxygen mask on first, look at, you know, fill your own cup first, all these cliches around it, but it is so true. And that's just it. You have, you know, are serving yourself, you're going to serve your clients that much better. And then your clients are going to refer more people back to you. And it's just going to be this like beautiful cycle of, you know, service to self, service to others. And then, you know, like, the financials will come into place.
they just will, and just being patient. And also, like, again, like that shift I was talking about with my social media, it was like pushing products and like pushing like what I did. And then when I made that shift into being like, what do you guys want? What do you need? Like, let me ask you about how you're doing. Like, it's just an amazing, wonderful like experience just to like have people trust you and then talk to you about what they need. And then for you to say, okay, I got you, you'll be all right. And then they feel so supported and like, just like motivated because of that. They're like, wow, I'm not lost anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not lost in all this. Like you understand, you listen, you understand, and then you get me there. And then I feel so much better about every aspect of my life.
And it allows you to be of service in a far more clear way as well. Like, not only are you being of service, but you're being of service in a very specific, and, you know, there's that conversation. It's a two-way conversation. So you can be of service in a much more distinct way.
Yeah, exactly.
So talking of social media, before I ask you my last question, where can people find you online? Where can people, you know, respond to your questions and interact with you?
Okay, so I have two places that I hang out a lot. Instagram, my handle is holistic happy training, and there's a period in between each of those words. So it's holistic.happy.training on Instagram, or I have a website, holistichappy.ca. So those are the two places I really like to hang out a lot. My email information too is on my website and on my Instagram. So feel free to just shoot me a message and be like, hey, you know, I heard you on the podcast, or hey, like I see, like I've taken one of your classes and like I really liked it, or I'm really struggling in this area. Can you help me? Like, I don't want people to feel like they can't reach out because they're going to be like a bother or anything like that. I know that sounds weird, but like I've had clients who are like, I never messaged you online because I didn't want to bother you. And I'm like, that's what I'm here for, girl. Like, let's go. Like, let's talk about this. So like, I love having conversations and like helping people get started and just giving you like some feedback about where you are. And just like, please reach out. I'd love to talk to you.
And even if you're not in Vancouver, because obviously you train in Vancouver, but I think, you know, you love to connect with people everywhere. So don't be discouraged in Vancouver.
Yeah, exactly. And like, if you have a question that you're like a burning question that you want to ask me, chances are someone else has that question. Like, and if you ask it and I answer it and they see that, like, it's just this beautiful thing where like, it just expands out from your one question. So please feel free to like ask me anything. And if I don't know the answer, I will do my absolute best to find it out for you.
I love that. So my last question for you, and I ask this to everybody, what is your definition of balance?
I feel like I've touched on it a bit. Do you mean like personally or like professionally or like everything?
Let's go personally.
Okay, I like it. Okay. My definition of balance personally actually comes back to what you said about being in alignment. I kind of picture my life as like two scales, like where I'll have work on one end and I'll have personal on the other. So for me, personally, the idea of balance means being able to equally invest in both areas of my life without feeling any guilt or shame around it. I find a lot of people are like, oh, I work too much and I don't have enough time for my family, or I spend too much time with my family and I'm not making enough money. So for me, it's just balance really means being able to just flow through my life without judgment of myself, or with as little judgment as possible. I mean, nobody's perfect. And being able to just learn from my experiences and like use that to like help me go forward in a different way if a change needs to be made, or just go forward in the same way if things are really working well for me. And I know something's working well if it really feels good inside me. So balance is trying to maintain that alignment and just being open and to change and going forward in that way. Yeah.
Wow. I feel like we could have a whole other podcast about judgment and self-judgment and everything you just said there, but that was so powerful. I really like that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think a lot of people, they feel that, right? They feel that in their lives, and they want to achieve perfect balance. And just kind of the acceptance around the ebb and flow, that life will ebb and flow, and it's all right. Like it's okay that not every day is great, and not every day is going to be perfect, but then you'll have those really great ones as well. So they just kind of like connect, and just feel so grateful for all of them anyway.
I love that. Wow. That was an awesome conversation. I'm really excited. We'll have to do this again because I feel like there's so much more that we can dive into. But I want to be respectful of your time and let you head on off. So thank you so much for spending the time with me. And I can't wait for everyone to hear this.
Awesome. Thank you, Danielle.
Thanks. We'll chat soon. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you found this episode as expansive as I did. If you enjoyed listening, please like, subscribe, and review. It means so much to us. If you would like to learn more about The Balanced Collective and our offerings, please visit www.thebalancedcollective.com or hit us up on Instagram @thebalancedcollective. Thank you so much, and please keep spreading your light.